Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Season 5, Episode 9 of the Holistic Financial Fitness Series in collaboration with Mupo Entertainment and Mupo TV. I'm Jeffrey E. Berger, and as CEO and founder of Abundance and Optimum Wellness, I am of the sincere belief, that we all should be living on abundance and optimum wellness physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially today. So with that being said, before I bring on my very special guest today, Coach Matthew Lamoureux, to the stage, if I may. First of all, if you'd like to connect, scan the QR code and you will get connected to my digital business card. And then next, for those who are new to this series, welcome. I'm really humbled that you are joining us and watching, because I am very, very passionate about showcasing amazing individuals on a mission to helping make a difference, sharing from their hearts what they are doing, and the mission that they are on personally gives me true joy to showcasing them on this Mupo TV series. And many of you have already been following me and know about my last 6 to 7 years of a holistic journey. And today it's really about circumventing the system. You know, true wealth encompasses various perspectives and actually goes beyond just financial prosperity. And it includes overall well-being and fulfillment in different areas of life. And in today's world, it is evident that our current systems are broken and corrupt, causing major disruptions globally. And it has become imperative for individuals to become more aware of the true state of affairs. And by understanding these underlying issues and challenges, people can take a proactive approach towards, creating change. That's what this is all about. And it's essential to look beyond the surface and delve deeper into the complexities of these systems in order to address the root causes and work towards a more just and equitable future. Awareness and knowledge are powerful tools that can empower individuals to become more catalysts for positive transformation. And that's what I love about bringing to this show is more about the positive transformations that people are having and sharing with those out there in the world. And our goal is really to educate, to inform, fostering a deep understanding of the benefits and opportunities that decentralized systems are bringing to us today. I truly believe that by embracing the world of decentralization, individuals can reclaim their autonomy and actively participate in shaping a more equitable and inclusive future. We provide real solutions for real people who are serious about wanting to go from barely surviving to thriving again. So with that, I'm going to take a quick commercial break here. This is Mupo Entertainment, Mupo TV. We are on the iOS. We are on Android, the iPhone with an app called Mupo Entertainment. We're viewed in 144 different countries on Roku, and we are really getting some great recognition. And also, I'm just finding out over the last couple of weeks that Paramount and Netflix are taking a look at this syndication to possibly bringing it over to their syndication as well. So we'll be right back with Coach Matthew. Okay, we are back with Coach Matthew Lamoureux, a remarkable 30-year-old orphan who defied the odds to become a self-made entrepreneur and financial luminary. So that is pretty amazing. With a diverse background spanning Wall Street, the U.S. government, the banking industry and tech sectors, Coach Matthew discovered his true calling as a spiritual advisor and life coach through a lifetime of struggle and suffering. Today, he is settled in North Carolina, and he stands as an award-winning author, spiritual guide, and influential online personality. Coach Matthew enjoys researching with an open mind. That's what I love, open mind. We have to be open mind. He likes long hikes in nature and meditative conversations with his clients and his family. And alongside his team of dedicated researchers and coaches, Coach Matthew delves into life's most profound questions, offering insights and solutions born from his own journey through adversity. And I want to add one more thing here. For years, I've been talking about abundance and optimum wellness, living that physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. And I brought in a lot of the others, Never Finance, Now Today Finance, and now I'm starting to incorporate more of the spirituality in that realm. So I'm very, very excited to really announce that Coach Matthew is really the first person that I've brought into my series in regards to this area. So welcome, Matthew, to Season 5, Episode 9 of Holistic Financial Fitness Series.
Thank you so much, Jeff. I really appreciate being here. And to everybody at home, again, Coach Matt, I am I'm an author. I'm a spiritual life coach, but we take a lot of the practical wisdom that can be applied from scriptures, sciences, anything like that to better the human life and the human individual. So I'm really excited to do this, with you. As you mentioned, I also have a background in finance. So what I've been able to do is kind of bridge the gap between spirituality and the financial corporate world. And most of my clients actually work in the corporate world. So just love being here, love being able to spread awareness and share as much positivity and information as I can. So thanks for having me.
Awesome. No, thank you. Because I know you're a busy guy, so I appreciate you spending the time on the show today. So share with our viewers more about Team 𝐸𝐸𝐬𝐿𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸
Yep, that's right.
Team
You got it.
S5-E9. There we go.
You got it.
Team
Yep.
S5-E9, around, what you really delve into and the commitment that you are really so passionate about, that I've been learning through, being on Coach JV's calls and your contributions to those calls, and what you share has been really an awakening for me in true aspects. So
Thank
share
you.
with
I
the
appreciate
viewers.
that. I would love to. So I'll give you the short version because a lot of the details can be found on our website or on our YouTube channel. But Team S5-E9 is a humanitarian research-based organization, which is now geared towards practical spiritual life coaching. The way that this started was I had a lot of struggles, as Jeff had mentioned earlier in my life. By the time I was about 17, I didn't have a good relationship with either of my parents anymore, and I was essentially on my own, working 2 jobs to not only sustain myself but sustain my family. At the time, my mother was my mother's now passed, but at the time she was on hard opiate drugs, and I was actually the main breadwinner of the family, working 2 jobs, trying to give as much money as I could, thousands of dollars, just to ensure that myself and my family could survive. When I finally was able to put myself through college, I started asking myself the deeper questions of, I kind of had put together at that time. I wasn't really super spiritual. I had prayed and I was trying to find myself. I was a young lad, and I was trying to find myself a good bit, but I struggled, just like a lot of other people do. And my main issue that I had noticed growing up was my parents always fought about money. It was always money was the root of the conversation that led to their divorce and their separation and my ultimate abandonment. So after a lot of research, I started asking myself deeper questions than other people around me in school, even my professors were asking, which was basically, what do the highest, wealthiest billionaire elite believe in? Not just from a spiritual perspective, which would come later, but
Sure.
from a financial perspective, what were they doing so differently that was causing them to have that competitive advantage against others. And down this rabbit hole I went, and this was all pre-pandemic. And I know the pandemic had other people ask those similar questions. Who was really in charge of this, and how was this happening in our world? Well, that kind of rocked all of the experiences that led up to my upbringing had me ask those questions maybe a bit sooner than some people when they had gone through that pandemic. So ultimately, what ended up happening, to just kind of give the short version, I started doing a lot of research. I started going really deep into what the elites and the billionaires believed in. They had a much different sense of spirituality than everybody else that I had known and grown up with. They weren't going to church or temple or mosque. They were doing their own thing behind closed doors. Some of it was very dark, which I know a lot of people talk about. Some of it wasn't actually so dark, and they had a fundamental understanding of sciences, quantum physics, the energy of the human body, the spirit, the soul, if you want to put it that way, and the integration of understanding those mechanics and how to apply those mechanics in a practical way to make money. Then it kind of started this rabbit hole journey of studying the different ways that spirituality encompasses itself. And ultimately what I found was that there's a lot to unpack. And so what we do is we try not to hone in on the super complicated. We try to hone in on the simple. We want to make this practical. We want to make this easy for other people to understand, because it's already so overly complex. But when you can actually understand the frameworks on things like intention setting or manifesting, people are talking about it all over online right now, especially on TikTok or Twitter. But really, truly getting to the heart of what that means, then you can start applying it, and you can start living your life the best way that you want to live, rather than living it according to your boss or your corporation or something that is kind of superseding or overseeing you. You get a semblance of freedom, financial freedom, which is something that's super important. But that's the gist of what 𝐇𝐸⁴ was founded on. We've been researching for over 10 years. We've written multiple books which have won awards, and I've gotten multiple certifications over the years. And I never really was into the spiritual stuff like I am now, but after learning so much, it just makes my life so much happier and so much better, which then I can help my clients kind of get to that same point as well. So that's what 𝐇𝐸⁴ represents. It's 𝐇𝐸⁴ put together.
𝐇𝐸⁴. So I like that name. And you say bringing you to joy in what you're doing, and that's what we all should be doing, is finding that passion and that purpose of what we're here for, to share and enlighten others. So you shared with me that you love Kiyosaki. We talk about Robert Kiyosaki, and my first book was Rich Dad Poor Dad. And among a lot of cash flow quadrants, so forth and so on. But emotions are what make us human, make us real. The word emotion stands for energy in motion. So be truthful about your emotions and use your mind and emotions in your favor, not against yourself. So why do you love this quote so much?
Yeah, great question. And I mean, Kiyosaki, there are people who really love Kiyosaki. There are some people who are kind of lukewarm against him. Right. So, but I fell in love with his book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. I got it right above my head, right up there. Because really of the financial literacy. You can get that from any finance guy, right? It's the way that he applies it. And again, this is the fundamental understanding of what I was referring to before. The understanding that when you apply conscious energy towards something in a practical, positive way, you start to unlock massive potential in your abundance. So let me explain what I mean by that. And I'll give you the short version. Kiyosaki, when he says energy in motion, is emotion. Everything around you is a response. So when something happens to you, whether it's good or bad, your responses is not only what creates your net result or your net outcome, but it also it also makes you who you are at the end of the day. Your emotions are so important. Most of the time when people go to sleep at night, they're not thinking about the thoughts that they had or the actions that they did. They're asking, did I feel like I had a good day? When they wake up, do I feel good? Most of our reality is subjectively perceived through our emotions and our emotional state. So when you are flying off the handle in rage, or you are extremely depressed or anxious, it's not just an energy kind of anatomical aspect. It is a deeper aspect. It is, you have to apply the energy consciously and consistently with a positive manner, because your brain is constantly functioning like a supercomputer. You're basically like a walking radio tower, cell phone tower. And when you can have the right thoughts, have the right emotions, and have the right actions, most of the energy is stored in the lower parts of our body to be able to get up and walk around. And be able to do activities deep based in the spine or in the legs. When you can have the entire body work as one unit, then you will start to unlock massive potential for yourself. But oftentimes people have a blockage somewhere. They have an emotional issue. They have a mental issue. They have a laziness issue where they're not being active enough. When you can combine all of them together, that is where things start to unfold. And emotion is actually the one, as a life coach, as a certified life coach, I've noticed, emotion is actually the biggest issue. People will bust their butts. They will work as hard as they possibly can. They'll have the right mentalities, the right thought processes, but it comes down to their emotional state. They're not actually feeling what they're doing. And as the final point, because I have a lot more I could say on this, but as the final point, the emotional aspect is so crucial, because if your heart's not in something, you're not going to get the expected outcome that you desire. You could have the best idea in the world. You could work so hard on it, but if your heart's not really in it, it's going to dramatically take away from the imaginative thoughts and the active work that you put into it, to a point where it won't become a success. So your emotions actually have to be balanced. I mean, the heart is right in the middle of the body for a specific reason, right? So you have to balance. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's, you bring so much to the answer to that question. And I reflect back to before I chose a holistic lifestyle back in 2018. I was a reactor. I dealt with stress, anxiety at a level 10 for decades, and I always reacted, and sometimes pretty volatile. But since learning about the microbiome, the gut brain heart axis, and what to feed the microbiome to feed, energize the brain and the heart, I'm able now to, in situations, rather than react, I evaluate. I take a step back and look at it. Okay, what does this mean to me? Why is this happening? Am I supposed to learn something? Am I supposed to share it with other people? So taking a step back has brought that stress level from a 10 plus down to a level 1. And being able to recognize that and embrace it and move forward with that has been a game changer in regards to that stress, anxiety, depression aspect around mental health. And hence, mental or holistic financial fitness is a new path to true wealth, which is what I'm all about. And I so resonate with that. So that's amazing. And thank you for sharing that. Maybe we'll have to do another show and go into that a little bit deeper. But you introduced the Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles, and which is about attracting financial success through creative thought. And I'm going through that right now. I was telling you something before we went live about a current client that I'm working with. But I want to share a couple of nuggets here in this interview for people to think about. Maybe you should go out and get this and read it, because it's an amazing book, and I'm going to reread it because there's a lot of great information in there. But in chapter 1, the right to be rich, because so many people don't think that they've got the right to be rich, it states that there's 3 motives for which we live. We live for the body, the mind, and the soul. And no one of these is better or holier than the other. And each is desirable, neither body, mind, or soul can live fully in one of the others is cut short or full of life and expression. So share what that really means to live fully with body, mind, and soul.
Love it. Yeah. And I love that book by Wallace Waddles. It is phenomenal work. I highly recommend it. If you are somebody who's never heard of it, maybe you have read Rich Dad Poor Dad and you're looking for a book that can kind of go a little bit deeper into the esoteric side of how to understand yourself on a deeper level. So mind, body, and soul, right? Or sometimes mind, body, spirit, however it's placated, it's irrelevant because it's all generally the same. So you have the mind, obviously, and you have the body. And esoterically speaking, if you study the scriptures, you study the wide variety of cultures, you'll start to see a lot of parallels. The mind and the body essentially integrate with each other to create a form of energy. Quantum physically, whether you're looking at it from a spiritual perspective or a scientific perspective, it doesn't matter. Your body houses energy. Sometimes it's known as a toroidal field, where your heartbeat essentially generates a specific amount of vibrational frequencies that are laid out not only within the body, but also a little externally outside of the body too. And people feel this all the time. Let's say you're sitting in a room, somebody that you love walks into the room within your vicinity. You can see them. There's stimulus going on in your entire body. You feel that. You feel the love for that person. You feel happiness, joy. Let's say somebody you just don't like at all walks into a room, or somebody that gives you anxiety or a deep-rooted sense of negativity, right? You feel that too. It's because there's everything at the end of the day. If you study quantum physics the way we have, it comes down to energy, specifically Planck scale, string theory. There's a ton of things that go into this, but mind, body, and soul, the integration of the mind, which comes from manus. Manus is actually the word where we get the word man. And that means the mind. It's something about having to deal with conscious thought. The reason that we're separate from all the animals is because of our ability to have hyper conscious awareness and conscious thought and practically apply that energy and information. But also the body too. The body feeds the brain feeds the body. They are a symbiotic relationship. So when you get into the inner workings and you're able to master the mental factors, and you can get your mentality correct, then you can get your physical body in shape and correct. Then your energy, which would be your soul, your spirit, is maximized. And this is why not one affects the other, because you have to have a form of courageous spirit in order to first have the right thought processes and then fix the body. And they're all interwoven into each other, which is why he says none of them are better or worse than the others. They're all on an equal playing field. So the mental factors are the thoughts, the conscious thoughts. The body is the physical way that you feel. Right? Yep. It's the physical way you feel. And then the spirit or the soul is your emotional energy. Again, energy in motion. It's how you are reacting, how you are feeling, your intuition, your gut sense. Again, I love what you brought up. Brain, the heart, and the gut, right? The microbiome. That's something that so many people have overlooked, is the gut microbiome and how that impacts your thoughts, your feelings, both of those of which play into exactly what we're talking about with Wallace Waddles. So even something as simple as what you're eating, your diet. Are you consuming too much alcohol? Are you having too many sodas, too much sugar, right? There has to be a balance with everything in your life. And everybody has to find that balance in their own way. I see a lot of people say, you got to do this, you got to do this fad diet, or everybody's different. So you have to discover this for yourself. You can't just, that's exactly why we do practical spiritual life coaching, because we work with you on an individual level. I can't recommend anything to somebody unless I get to know them better, because, there's tons of different ways that you can live your life, but there is no one perfect way to live your life. It's only how you can perfectly find the way to live your life. And when you do, you will acclimate all three of those. Literally, it's a trinity of sorts. And when you can master that trinity of your personal self, then you don't have any kind of blockages in your ability to be able to manifest or have abundance in your life. So that would be my answer to that question too.
No, that's great. That's great. In chapter 2, there's a science of getting rich. So stating that there is an exact science like algebra, arithmetic, which encompasses certain laws which govern the process of acquiring riches. And then once a person, learns and obeys these laws, he or she will get rich with mathematical certainty. And I've heard, you talk about numerology, 1111, and the significance behind numerology. Share some of these underlying laws that you are so familiar with.
Of course. So at the end of the day, life is about mathematics and patterns. If you notice, even in those words, you have ma and pa, mathematics and patterns. It's literally the mom and dad, as it says in the Old Testament. You must respect your mother and your father. It's not just on a physical level; it's also on a metaphysical level as well. You have to respect the laws of nature. Nature functions in its own way. And when you are able to understand that, then you're able to apply yourself with conscious thought. And so everything essentially starts first as a thought, whether it's a spiritual or a anatomical, bodily, physical thought, like, oh, I need to lose weight, or, oh, I need to get healthy, or I want to get rich, or I want to start a new project, or just I want to fix my mental state. Everything starts essentially as a thought. So when you're able to tap into what Wallace Wattles calls the substance oftentimes at this period in time, because that book was written about 100 years ago, at this point in time, they would call the substance things like what we call energy. Which is, again, what Kiyosaki also refers to. So it's not like you're some guru that's sitting there and trying to make fire come out of your hands or something ridiculous like that. It's not magic at the end of the day. Not magic, at least in the Harry Potter sense. It's magic if you want to see the magic of life, really, at the end of the day, and be happy with it. So at the end of the day, when you consciously apply thought to something, and then you take the proper action towards that thought, and then you feel either the outcome or you feel the integration of the thought and the action while it's going on, and you can maximize that emotional response, then you will ultimately get what you are trying to manifest or desire. Again, we see that word man, which means manus, the mind. So at the end of the day, tapping into your own thought processes is how you're able to maximize the abundance that you have in your life. Because as I mentioned, the brain is you're like a walking cell phone tower. You're like, or radio tower, or walking cell phone, even if you want to think of it that way. You don't see Wi-Fi signals. You don't see cell phone signals. In fact, on the electromagnetic spectrum of visible light is only a very small sliver. You have X-rays, gamma rays, infrared light. All of these energies are unseen to us, and that includes your thoughts as well, right?
Yeah.
So when you apply that energy properly in a positive way, and you can feel it in your soul, that is how you're able to, really bring things towards you in a magnetic way.
Awesome. So, I mean, it's so deep. It's so deep. I'm gonna have to go back and watch the recording of this to pick up even more what you said. So, it's truly amazing, and thank you for that. So, I'm gonna do one more question in regards to this book, and we are both involved in the realm of decentralization. We are looking at the finance world. I'm looking at that, as well as the real estate world, and some other projects that I'm involved with regards to moving from a centralized to a decentralized system, or systems, if you will, providing a little bit more leeway and a little bit more control over what we have currently today. And in chapter 4, the first principle in the science of getting rich, it states that thought is the only power which can produce tangible riches from the formless substance. So for me, as a global ambassador of an international real estate fractional ownership company, how does the concept of thought be the power to manifest tangible, and I'm going to say tangible riches, which are RWA, real world asset riches from formless substance related to a potential impact of real estate tokenization on wealth creation and investment opportunities?
I love that. So, really good question. It's basically, how do you use your thoughts to maximize your
Right.
abundance, right?
Yes.
And that's perfect, because what we can do is we can describe a little bit of some quantum physics here. In quantum physics, there's two separate models of how toroidal energy works. And by toroidal, I mean energy that feeds into itself. So your body, your brain, your heart, your gut, it all feeds into itself in order to keep you alive. The more that you can consciously maximize that potential by living a balanced, positive, happy, healthy lifestyle, the longer you'll live and the happier that you'll live. When you stray away from that, you start breaking parts of the toroidal energy, and then you start to suffer in different ways. You'll almost magnetically manifest things that are going to happen to you or towards you from those responses, right? So the best way I can explain this is through quantum physics. You have two separate models. One is called the Meissner effect. One is called the Maharishi effect. The Meissner effect is this concept where when you are unconscious, such as something like a piece of fruit or a flower, these things are living. They have DNA within them, but they can't consciously project energy. Like, think of the sun, right? The sun is just
Right.
there in the sky. And sometimes it sends out little solar flares every once in a while. And we know that the earth has its own toroidal energy. It has its own magnetic pulse, as it's
Sure.
called. So anything that has or houses DNA, the earth would also be included in that, because it has a whole bunch of living creatures, plants and animals, right? So whenever this energy is just unconsciously working and operating, it falls under what we would call the laws of nature. However, man itself, men and women, they exist outside of this realm, where they're actually able to tap into what's called the Maharishi effect. The Maharishi effect is where you consciously apply energy. And when you can consciously apply energy in a positive way, then you can actually get a very, very different outcome based on manipulating factors that are normally unconscious. So, if I wanted to eat an apple, the apple doesn't have really a say in it, because I'm consciously picking up the apple and eating it. That's a very simple explanation, but let me just quickly give you a scientific case study. They applied the Maharishi effect in third world countries, where they essentially went and they took about 2 to 3% of a third world country's population. They housed them, fed them, paid their bills for them or whatever, and they basically created an environment where they were stress-free. There was no issues whatsoever with anything that was going on in their personal lives. And they said, all we want you guys to do is relax and meditate. And when you meditate, we want you to consciously think of your community being built up and becoming better on the outside. And so they segregated these people, but they kept them in the community. And then when these people meditated for I think it was like a 4 to 6 week experiment, and they've done this multiple times, they noticed, even though these people weren't super heavily integrated with the outside society or community that they were part of, they noticed that these people had an effect energetically on the communities, where the crime went down about 7 to 10%. Poverty went down about 5 to 7%.
Wow.
Overall happiness shot up like 15%. So when you just took like 3% of a population of a small little community, and you're able to have them live a stress-free life where they are able to spread this positivity in a chain-like reaction, it dramatically increases the way that community can function and survive and live a better lifestyle. So again, it's at the end of the day, it's about conscious awareness and consciously applying energy towards something. And that would be the yeah.
No, that's awesome. And this is, I refer to this as the body temple. And, a lot of these things that you're saying should be taught in school at the lower grades and start introducing this so people can start understanding this. But of course, that's not happening.
Yeah,
um,
yeah, on
and we know
purpose.
why. But
Hmm.
so with that, and you talked about the Earth and the energies, and even the Earth has its own microbiome.
Yes.
Just like our bodies. So, which is a powerful, powerful system for the human body, for animals as well as the Earth. So, we are going to take a quick commercial break, and we will be right back with Coach Matt. Okay, we are back, and I just want to comment on that last commercial. I was privileged to go to the first red carpet last year and receive an award for this TV interview series, and I'm up for another award this year in July of 2024. So I'm very, very grateful for that. So I want to talk next about the 𝐇𝐨𝐥𝐢𝐬𝐭𝐢𝐜, the sacred secret of humanity. Congratulations on this amazing book, which is on my list. I've got like 4 books ahead of this to read. I'm just inundated, but in any event, captured the synopsis of what is being offered in this book, and you do have another series as well. But let's talk about this specific one, where you delve into the captivating exploration spanning past 10,000 years. When I saw that, I'm like, oh my God, this is like 10,000 years of history. And that's intertwining spiritually and comprehensive analysis in the world of major religions. And there's so many religions out there. So briefly, explain, because we're getting down to the last minutes here of the interview, and I do have a couple more questions about what the experience was pulling this information together and creating this amazing book that you have collaborated with 2 other partners on this.
Yes, thank you very much. And so this book, The Sacred Secret of Humanity, which you'll actually see over my shoulder over here, is an abridged version of this other book right here, which is a synthesis on human history and spirituality. It's 800 pages long, and it's got about 500 sources or so. Now, what happened was, over the many years that we had studied all of this information, again, we've been doing this for over 10 years now, myself and my team, Richard and Tyler. We all collectively started studying different multifaceted pockets of information globally, worldwide, culturally, stemming from finance, spirituality, history, and pretty much anything in between. The whole goal of it was to, as you're reading it, there's also images in the book where they're very complex, esoteric art pieces from like the medieval Renaissance, or even in modern day, going back to some hieroglyphics or some artwork that was from, again, thousands of years ago. And then what we do is we show the different interconnecting aspects of what all these different cultures believed. And we cover most of the major world cultures worldwide. And we showed how they integrate, how they're different, and how to apply the best aspects of every culture so that you can live your ultimate lifestyle. And so that would be like the short, abridged version of my explanation for what these books really are. Yeah.
Awesome. That's great. I can't wait to read it and really learn from it. So, for our viewers, I actually met Coach Matt in the 3T Warrior Academy. which is a mind-blowing academy. And I actually first encountered Coach JV last year on TikTok. And I'm like, what's this dude all about? So I kept listening, and then eventually got introduced to Johnny Crypto, who I actually had on the show earlier in the season regarding what he's all about. And this academy is about cryptocurrency, mindset, fitness, and generational wealth building. And Coach V is a unique individual because he's a survivor of attempted suicide. I'm a survivor of 2 attempted suicides, him with chemical dependency, me with chemical dependency. So there was that relationship that, I resonated with what he was all about, and where he is today. I'm like just totally blown away. But he's a chief executive officer, and you are he is one of your coaching students in your program. So share with our viewers what you bring to the table for those who are looking for your specific coaching experience and what you have to share with them.
Yeah, love that. Great question. So oftentimes whenever I delve into whether or not somebody's going to be a good fit for our coaching program, we do provide a free 30-minute consultation, because there has to be an alignment of values. Coaching is not therapy. It's not, it's when you are in the present moment and you understand weaknesses and strengths, you need assistance honing in on your strengths and deterring your weaknesses. And it can be in any regard. We do coaching in a wide variety of categories and ways. We're not doctors, we're not financial experts, but we coach on businesses, we coach on finances, we coach on spirituality, physical health and fitness, mental health and mental awareness, and a lot of the things that we've already discussed in this podcast interview already. But the ultimate goal of what we want to do is maximize each individual's potential, to have them tap into the root core of their soul, of who they really are, and live their most authentic lifestyle. And the last thing I'll say on that is there is a scientific study that was done by a conglomerate in Germany, and it was called the S5-E9. I don't remember exactly what that stands for, but they did a scientific case study where they hooked human beings, both men and women, up to energetic readers, and they told people to act specific ways: happy, sad, angry. And then the last one they did was be your authentic self. Be yourself. And what they found was it didn't matter how the other people acted. They could have been so viscerally angry, screaming, or so happily, joyfully laughing, like forcing and stifling laughs. But when they were told to act their most authentic self, they noticed that the energy in their heart was maximized by a huge potential. Their hearts were beating in sync with their entire body. And the authenticity of being yourself causes you to live your best lifestyle, not only from the outside, because other people are going to resonate with who you are authentically, but also from the inside, because you'll actually really love who you are and you'll love yourself, and you'll be able to, through your perception, you'll be able to live a better life, because everything at the end of the day is your perception. If something good or bad happens, you get the choice. You have to choose each and every time, every single day, whether you want to react positively or negatively or what have you. And if you get this entire unit, mind, body, spirit, all the elements properly aligned, well, then you can live authentically, and you can start perceiving things and finding the joys in the smallest things of life. And the things that do occur that might be bad or negative won't impact you as much, and then you can actually live a more fulfilled life. So that's what we emphasize at Psychologists for Coaching.
That's amazing, and I totally relate with that, because it goes back to first of all, loving yourself. Once you can love yourself, it opens the doors to unlimited possibilities that are just you can't fathom. And I discovered that in my early 60s. So as I say, it's better late than never to really understand, because love yourself. Yeah, I love myself. Well, what does that truly mean? And once you really understand it, you grasp that, and then you run like hell to be able to benefit from all of the amazing opportunities that come to you, because you realize who you are, what you're doing, why you're doing what you're doing, and you want to share your authentic self with regards to what's really happening out there in the world, and you want to make change. And that's what we're all about, is making that positive change, because so many are stuck in their comfort zone, and it's time to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because that's where the growth comes.
Mhm.
And for those that are watching, I'm going to point down here. You see the scrolling banner down there. You got to go to Matt's website. There's so many tools on there. He's got some free ebooks and amazing classes. So check that out. There's a link to his Linktree, site as well. And check it out. Get some really good value. And with that, my last question for you for today is, if there was one piece of advice that you could give anyone that's watching who is looking for that glimmer of hope, all right, from a personal or a professional perspective, what would that be?
Love that question. I really love that question because it's so deep. As I've studied and I've written big books and all that stuff like that, it's all of the esoteric information. When you compile it gets so complex that it becomes simple. At the end of the day, the real secret, it's going to sound cheesy like a movie, but the real secret truly is love. It hones in on
Yep.
exactly what you just said. I make this point in my book as well. The love factor of loving yourself so that you can love others as well and be
Yep.
able to provide and give, that will truly change the world. And the way that you learn, I love your question. What does it really mean to love yourself? Because it's so subjective to most people, but in actuality, it's objective, meaning that there's a
Yeah.
core fundamental truth to what it means to love yourself. And that comes down to, like you said, first breaking the paradigms that are causing you may feel comfortable, but you're not really comfortable. You're just content with life. And there's a big difference in that. And then
Yes. Big time.
once you break out of that uncomfortability and you start to find and discover yourself through wading through the waters of life and starting to put your authenticity forward so that you can be your best, highest self, then you start to learn how to love yourself. And when you start to learn how to love yourself, you can love strangers, you can love others. And if we all did that and we all
Yeah.
committed, then we would activate that Maharishi effect. We would energetically change the world in a positive way. Because
Absolutely.
as you also said, the earth it has its own microbiome. We are that. We are that microbiome, the plants,
Mhm.
the animals, the trees, humans. And we have, quite possibly studied by science, the highest energy output compared to any other living thing on this earth right now. So,
Yes.
my final point would be love yourself, find yourself, be authentic, discover who you are. And if you need help with that, that's what we're here for.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, man, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to be my guest today, sharing your story, sharing your wisdom. You've been changing the world for 10 years now, and it's going to go into 20, 30, 40 for
Mhm.
decades with your value, your heart, your passion for what you and your team are doing. And that's what I said earlier. We're here to make positive transformations and provide those tools, the avenues, and what is really needed out there today. And I can't thank you enough. I think we're going to have another another call to dive
I'd love it.
deeper into this, because now I'm really excited. Just hearing more above and beyond what you talk about, in the other shows that you're doing on the T3 Warrior Academy. So with that, as a global ambassador for an international real estate fractional ownership company, I've actually humbly accepted to take a lead role to bringing this business model and opportunity to the North American market, as well as I'm growing it globally. I invite you to experience the future of real estate investment with our fractional ownership business model. When I got introduced to it, I was skeptical, and I'm like, oh, I don't have money to invest in international real estate. Well, here I am. I'm a global ambassador for the company, and I was just blown away. So scan the QR code, register for the next group webinar, or select that you want a private conversation with me, and I would be more than happy to get that information to you, because Matt is, we're both involved with another group that are doing something similar. We're educating people out there about what's going on. It's here, it's going to stay, and it will change the future, whether you like it or not. And we're here to provide that value so you can make an educated decision for yourself. So with that, I do want to say here, again, I believe we all should be living a life of abundance and optimum wellness, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. And you can too. I never thought I would be here today, and I'm here. And I want to share that because it's my passion, and I'm driven to get more information out to people who are really seriously looking to make change in their own lives, because it is there if you want it. Lastly, holistic mental and financial fitness is a new path to true wealth. I'll see you on the inside next time. Thanks, Matt. See you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thought I was playing? Huh. Thought I was playing? Huh.